Welcome to My Pagan Pathworks. My name is Lisa. I am the founder of the channel. If you are new here, we are so glad that you're here, and I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Thank you for coming back to watch us again. And for those of you that don't know, sometimes I do say us, and what I usually mean is me and my spirit guides. And not the mouse in my pocket or something funny like that. But anyway, I do invite you to like and subscribe if you're new. And so in today's video, we are going to talk about the Ten of Swords, and we are going to finish up our progression of the swords from 1 through 10. So like I said before, the cards have some of their own things going, so we're going to talk about them next. But for right now, we're going to talk about the Ten of Swords. Now, I do have something exciting to share with you before we get started that is tarot related. I stopped doing my daily card pulls on Facebook, and the primary reason for this is I was getting a little concerned about, oh, pardon me, I was getting a little concerned about copyright violations because, you know, as a reader, I don't really have permission to reproduce those, and I am really unclear on the copyright laws if that falls under fair use. Like on Facebook, I mean on YouTube, I'm pretty sure that it falls under fair use, but and my blog as well. I'm not trying to take credit for these, but at the same time, you know, just to be on the safe side, I have stopped doing those. Now, the really exciting part about that is I have loaned one of my decks to my son, and he is going to be trying to create some original artwork for me based on that deck, because all the decks really pretty much share the same imagery. So I loaned him one of my decks and asked him to make some original artwork that I could use as a picture on Facebook. Oh, pardon me, to get me you know, so I don't violate any copyright laws. It'll be his original artwork that I'm using with permission. And so I'm really excited about that prospect. However, there are about 72 cards in the deck, so it may take him a while. So it may be a while before this project, before I start doing those daily card pulls again. So with all that out of the way, let's review what we've learned so far. So swords are associated with Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, and so it is associated with air. In general, the swords are about our intellect and our ability to communicate, and what goes wrong with that ability to communicate is about human conflict, whether it's internal or external. And the progression, and I believe, and I've said it before and I'll say it every video, I believe there's a progression in the suites from 1 to 10. And so with the swords, when you start out with the Ace of Swords, you see pure logic. With the Two of Swords, you see logic and emotions. With the Three of Swords, you see the marriage between our logic and emotions and what can go wrong. In the Fours, we see a resting place where we kind of reflect on that marriage between logic and emotions and how it affects us. With the Fives, let's see, I've lost my notes, so hang on. With the Five of Swords, we see how personal growth can help us know when to cut our losses and run. And the Sixes brought us a place of balance between our logic and emotions. So in the Sixes, we are just balanced. The Sevens bring us our plunge into the dark night of the soul. It's the beginning. The Sevens brought us deception and moral corruption. The Eights brought us to a place where we are held captive by our own mind. And the Nines brought us to a place where our mind has the ability to affect both our emotions and our body. And it's depicted as that something hanging over our heads, something that's got our mind will not be still on, and it's causing us to lose sleep. Or we're making mountains out of a molehill. So the Tens are like the culmination of the dark night of the soul. So I believe these little bit higher meanings might help us in our interpretation as we read these cards in a reading. And so, pardon me, oh goodness, I can't stop yawning. Let me show you some examples of the Tens. This is the Rider. This is the Celtic. This is the Tarot Draconis. And this is the Henson Roberts. Out of all the cards in the deck, this one is perhaps the most brutal out of all the cards in the deck. There is nothing more final for the physical body than physical death. Your soul will live on, but when the flesh is done, it's done, and it's very final. And that's precisely, to me, that's precisely what is in this imagery. It is the death of the physical body. It is a final ending. So let's talk for a minute about the Kabbalah meaning of the card. It's associated with the Malkuth, M-A-L-K-U-T-H, Sifroth. That means kingdom. It is the physical world and stability. And to me, the Ten of Swords is the antithesis of stability and groundedness that you see in that physical world. It's the opposite. That's what the Ten of Swords represents to me. In numerology, the tens represent post-completion. We've achieved our goal, and we are either moving toward rebirth, or in essence, the tens are like the repeat button. With the Ten of Swords specifically, we see total devastation. There is total devastation in this card. And so there's no other option but to begin again at 1. So it's very relatable in numerology as well. And there's also an association with the tens between the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun. And to me, the Ten of Swords relates more toward the Wheel of Fortune, because the Wheel of Fortune is like a gamble. It can go either way. It can be good or it can be total devastation. So in this case, you've got total devastation. So the literal meaning of the card and the upright is it's the total ruin of everything. That's the literal meaning. Everything we've worked for, every relationship, our projects, Everything is gone. It's total destruction. It's the ultimate ending because there's nothing left that you can salvage. Nothing left. Nothing is good. Nothing is right. This is the rock hard bottom. It is total devastation, total betrayal, total heartbreak. It's the end, basically. And even though that is so very brutal, it's also very much a part of our human existence. The thing to remember about hitting the rock hard bottom is that there's no place to go but up from there. The best course of action is to do some careful self-evaluation. Examine the turn of events. Examine your choices. Take ownership of your own mistakes, but don't dwell on them at the same time. Use this place as a point to turn yourself around, to make better choices, and grow from the experiences that you've just had. If you look at what happened, you will find a tremendous opportunity for growth. Failure does not have to define your whole entire life. It may define this moment in time for you, but it doesn't have to define your whole entire life. You can start over from here. You can turn the page and start a new journey. So when you get this card in reading, you are either right here in the middle of that or you're about to experience this. So it is very important to remember, once you reach the bottom, there's no place to go but up. So hold on. You can make it through. Unfortunately, this card in reverse doesn't mean the opposite. Like, a lot of times when we receive these cards in reverse, it usually means the opposite of what it means in the upright position. In this case, it doesn't. It usually means you have already experienced... Oh, pardon me, I don't know what's up with me today. It usually means you've already experienced the total destruction. You've already experienced this. When it's like this, you have already experienced total annihilation that came with this card. And you are floundering from it. And that's not too unusual when you have experienced a major setback like that. It's not too unusual for us to flounder around and not know the best course of action. However, the best course of action, really, when you get here, is to take some time to deal with your emotions and to be honest with yourself about how you're feeling about what you've experienced. If you try to suppress all those emotions that come with total devastation, you're going to do more harm to yourself than good. So the first course of action is just to take some time to deal with your own emotions. The next step would be to determine where you go from here. You need to make a careful evaluation of everything that happened. Evaluation of your choices, evaluation of who you put your trust in. You don't want to end up back here again, and so you need to choose your next steps very carefully, and you can't do that without careful evaluations. Once you've taken the time to evaluate everything and carefully consider everything that went wrong, then it's time to take your first steps into a new journey. But don't try to do that until you have. I can tell you from personal experience, because I'm here, man. I'm actually here, maybe a little bit here. And I have not allowed myself to really be honest with myself and deal with the emotions, and that's why really pretty much I hit that brick wall, because I've experienced that where you have to deal with your own emotions, you have to deal with your own mistakes, you have to accept all of that. But most importantly, you have to forgive yourself as well, in order to move on. Until you've done all that, the universe is going to put that brick wall in front of you until you have. So that pretty much sums up our discussion of the Ten of Swords, and I hope that that really helps you with your own readings. The Ten of Swords is a really difficult card to get, but life's a journey, and it doesn't mean you have to stay where the Ten of Swords put you. So, just to sum up, the court, because the court cards, like I said, have their own thing going. So, I want to just take some time to wrap up the progression of the cards. Pretty much, the swords are split in two, with the first few being our journey towards enlightenment and personal growth, and the last half of the cards deal with our descent into the dark night of the soul and what can go wrong with our mind, our relationships, and our ability to communicate. Both, to me, both enlightenment and our plunge into the dark night of soul, they are a part of the human condition, and just about everyone experiences both. You experience times of really tremendous personal growth, and you also experience times where you're in the dark night of soul and you have to deal with your own shadow. It's my personal opinion that the Ten of Swords really do an excellent, or the whole Suite of Swords does an excellent job of representing the human condition on the more mundane level. I mean, it's just all there for you to see from 1 through 10. If you ever take the time to just sit and look at the progression of the cards and put them side by side, it just does an excellent, amazing job of representing the human condition. So, I hope that you'll join me again next Tuesday for another edition of Tarot Tuesday. We'll be starting the court cards next week with the Page of Swords, so I'm looking forward to really discussing the Page of Swords, and I hope that you will join me again. Thank you very much for watching, and many blessings.